Hey guys, Caleb here with DSLR Video Shooter, and today we're talking about 7 tips for shooting video on the a6500. These 7 tips and so much more will be covered in my a6500 guide, which is now available. So if you want to maximize video on this camera and learn how to do that, check out the guide. 20 bucks. It's going to cover much more than these tips and way more in depth. Quick tip number 1 is checking focus while filming. So if you're already rolling and you have manual focus set up and you want to double check your focus without disturbing the lens, you can actually double tap on the back of the screen, zoom in and out, and tap and drag to check various parts of the screen. Double tap again or press the center button on the back of the camera and you're back to your full screen. If you don't want to keep tapping to activate and deactivate it, you can set up a timeout. So you'll double tap, check your focus, and it'll automatically go back to your full main screen after 2 or 5 seconds. The next tip is to use third-party batteries in the camera. So the battery that comes with the camera costs 50 bucks to replace, but there's a brand called DSTE on Amazon that sells batteries with almost double the capacity. So 2 times the amount of juice from the Sony battery. So you can pick up packs of those, and I use those all the time to help give me a little more runtime on my a6500. Along the same lines, you can pick up a really slick little $8 battery charger for those small camera batteries. So instead of lugging around an AC wall charger, they make these really slim, slick little chargers that are great on the go to use with your laptop or a USB battery. The next tip involves autofocus and the touch capabilities on this camera. So if you tap any part of the screen, touch focus will take over, and it's amazing how well it works. The only problem is once you tap on the screen, you don't really know exactly where you've tapped, and it can be easy to lose track of what you're focusing on. An easy way to solve this is to go into the menu system on the first tab, go down and change your metering mode to spot. Right below that, change spot metering point to focus point link. Now when you go back and start tapping on your screen, you're going to see a circle, and that's where your metering mode is. And as you tap to change your focus, that circle will move with your focus. Now you can see exactly where you've tapped and where your focus point is. The other added bonus is now you can tap various parts of the screen to check your exposure and see a readout on the meter at the bottom of the screen. The next tip is to use the Wi-Fi functionality of this camera to actually monitor it. Big problem on this camera is we don't have a flip out screen. So if I go to do this, there is no way for me to look at my settings. And if you connect the monitor, there's a whole bunch of problems that I talk about in the guide with that. So one of the easiest and cheapest ways to go about this is to use your phone, connect it to the camera, and you can use that to monitor, start and stop recordings. And it's a little laggy, but at least it gives you some idea of your framing. And if you already have a smartphone, this is pretty much a free fix. The next tip is to use a cage with your camera. There are a lot of awesome, very affordable cages. I've done a video on them for the a6500. This will allow you to mount all kinds of different gear, and if you're going to be taking up the cold shoe at the top of the camera with a microphone or a monitor, you'll have all this other space to add gear to. So it's a great little tool, and you can do so much more with the cage. It's also going to protect your camera from accidental falls because you have this giant metal protective layer on your camera. The last tip is to take full advantage of clear image zoom. So this is a technology similar to digital zoom that Sony has invented, but it's actually not going to degrade your footage, or at least very minimally drop the quality of your footage. So what is clear image zoom? It essentially lets you zoom in or crop in on the camera to get a longer focal length or field of view. To turn on clear image zoom, you can go over to the second tab on the camera and the 5th page. Select zoom setting and change it from optical only to on clear image zoom. Now, even though it's on, it's not activated, so you're still getting the full sensor and crop of the camera. But you can go up one setting in the menu system, select zoom, and here you'll be able to dial in the amount of clear image zoom on your image. Now, if you want to do this without going into the menu system, we can program one of the buttons on the camera to actually do that for us. Then you can just press a button, change your zoom, and you're good to go. You can go from no clear image zoom all the way to 2 times without losing almost any image quality. It works really well, so definitely check that out if you need a little extra reach but don't have time or another lens to change to. So those are 7 tips for shooting video on the a6500. If you like these and would like to learn more about shooting video on this camera, check out my guide. I cover those tips more in depth and so much more, since this camera gives us a lot when it comes to shooting video. If you have any quick tips for shooting video on the a6500, drop them in the comment section below. Otherwise, you can watch fresh videos here at DSLR Video Shooter every single week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.